I was watching this one guy. I think his name is Mediocre. You guys know?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm mentioning him,
tutorials and reviews, baby. You can call me MTR for short.
And I was watching also Abed and Preach. I was starting to realize the pile-on effect.
Okay.
And I started to say, because no matter what you want to say about me, if I give my own personal view, you could easily be like, well, how has your relationships been? I'm starting to dislike the guys who, they are the soapbox guys. We've never seen a woman they've been with.
The Christmas stimulus check has hit again. None other than DJ Akademiks has mentioned me on the Fresh and Fit podcast. And although I use the word mention, more accurately would be criticize me during a recent Fresh and Fit show. Now, I don't want to take his words out of context. I want to go direct to source to provide commentary over the things that he said. But I think that it's an appropriate discussion to have, especially one with the family. Let's lock in for this one. Without further ado, at this point in the conversation, everybody's currently speaking about Akash Singh being a pay pig situation to a disrespectful wife. Let's review.
And I value it very highly, by the way. But like
The married guys don't show it.
Yeah. They don't. I don't see it from them.
Yeah.
I don't see it from them because they're in these toxic marriages that are not really about the things, you're talking about like, breaking up with the kids and all the rest of it. But these marriages, in many respects, in many dimensions, in many aspects, they're not real anyway.
Yeah.
They're not real.
But I'll be
and
honest.
You know that. You know enough celebrities to know that.
Hold on. A lot of people.
That's your friend, though.
Hold on. A lot of. Well, here's the thing.
These marriages are not real.
And here's the thing, right? So, I don't believe this criticism is something that he's going to be like, hey, I'm getting a divorce, like attorney. And this is where I say, like, you know, I was watching this one guy, and what's his name? I'm not dissing him or shouting him out, but I guess I am shouting him because I think his name is Mediocre. You guys know?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm mentioning him,
tutorials and reviews, baby. You can call me MTR for short.
Right? Is that and I was watching also Abed and Preach, and and I was starting to realize the pile-on effect.
Okay.
And I started to say, because I'm one of those people who, no matter what you want to say about me, if I give advice or if I give my own personal view, you could easily be like, well, how has your relationships been? I'm starting to dislike the guys who, they are the soapbox guys. We've never seen a woman they've been with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like, for example, okay, they have ammo, be like, whoa, what fresh? There's a Chinese girl and there's Miranda. When it comes to Myron and so-and-so. These guys, they get to talk like they're the best, but we've never seen them with a woman.
Well, I got fucked in the ass.
Wait, hold on.
He admitted this.
Yeah, milked on all
He admitted
fours.
this shit.
Wait, what fours?
He literally got milked. He got fucked in the ass. He said it.
the clip erased? He said it.
But he literally, bro.
He
Like,
watched it-
I'm on
watched it
those
off the
niggas
internet?
head tops.
No,
all
he's
2026,
heterosexual,
bro.
though.
Huh?
Well, why would he do that if he's heterosexual?
No.
Exactly. I'll send you the clip.
I'll be honest. I wish that they didn't bring up Abba and Preach because, Fresh and Fit has a long-standing beef with them. But I think that it kind of derailed from the conversation because I actually appreciate DJ Akademiks' thoughts right here. But let's let him conclude a couple of more before.
Because they've talked shit about
He's
you
not,
too.
nigga.
We like these niggas need to get cooked, bro.
Yeah.
Like he's either got to put on gloves and get the ass whooping, or I'm gonna just keep my fucking foot on his neck all 2026.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
And I love everybody who are giving commentary, but the commentary seems so much more genuine when it comes from a place where people have also been vulnerable themselves. When people could say, hey, well, you've seen me not make the best decisions. So even when I'm speaking about this, like the Akash thing, and of course I'm being a little bit careful because that is my friend, but I'm like, hey, listen, I've been in one of those situations where I felt I'm with a woman and she's embarrassing me online.
Yeah.
She's doing it and she's doing it for her own benefit and almost climbing upon what it took me 15 years to build without her. And she's trying to almost shit on me to empower herself.
Meghan Markle kind of style.
And over time, that relationship dynamic changes. Because once she has some attention, she starts to talk to you a little bit different now.
Yep.
She's looking at the guy that can take her to the next stop, right?
Exactly.
She's used you to get to stage one, and now she's like, well, who's gonna get me to stage two?
Monkey branching, of course.
Okay.
And when I'm giving advice about that or I'm giving my opinion is because people could be like, I know sometimes the online content community, they're like, well, how could you talk? Because this is your history. That's why I could talk.
How many
Okay,
people are
first off, give a round of applause for DJ Akademiks. I really appreciate him bringing up this very specific topic. However, I do think that there's some error in his ways of his thinking. To paraphrase what he's saying, it's difficult for him to provide commentary or give advice about relationships because, well, then people, the audience, is going to turn back and say, like, bro, what do you know? Look at what you're going through. For anybody unaware, DJ Akademiks has gone viral one too many times in regards to something that a chick that he's been involved with has done to him. Outright public disrespect. She's released photos of him half naked. She's put his life in danger by doxing his address. It's too much to name, and that's not this video's purpose. However, when these things happen to him, it serves for great social commentary because it's like, bro, why are you choosing that type of woman? You've taken 15 years of your life honing in on your craft to contribute considerable value to the marketplace, but you left yourself vulnerable because you gave an unsavory, unworthy woman the keys to the castle. And that in turn turns into fantastic talking points that I can then transition into how can I help the average modern man today make choices or decisions that will not only not put their livelihood at risk, but also their life happiness at risk. Now, as I talk about this, I don't get the transition of why you begin not to like commentary YouTubers who you can't see their direct life. But listen, bro, I am not perfect. I've made many, many, many mistakes within my life. However, I'm also a watcher of other people's mistakes. And in combination of other people's mistakes and the mistakes that I've made in my private life, I've been able to reduce my risk as my face or my image has become public. Even with that, I've talked through women levying false allegations against me years before I was up on YouTube to inform my majority male audience of the mistakes that I made within that process. Those videos where I talked about it are still public, by the way. And when I started off my channel back in 2019, 2020 era, I used to always have women. That's how I used to do content, was women in my life would come in and I'd be like, hey, you want to do some content? And they would come down, sit right next to me, and we would talk about modern dating, relationship topics. But so many of my talking points focus in the identification of unworthy women, unmarriageable women. Women that you should never move into your house so that they can go back later and do what your former chick did to you. These are the type that you either ignore or deal with in the short term and throw them back to the streets from where they came. Again, ain't nobody perfect, but as a man, even not a public figure like yourself, you have to move with strategic directions. You have to calculate where you are vulnerable at and reduce your vulnerabilities. And the closest person that you have to you as a man more often than not is going to be the woman by your side. Just because my L's haven't been experienced within the public eye doesn't reduce the value that I try to contribute with this platform. This is kind of like saying, you know, I am a cancer survivor, which I am. So because I've avoided death through cancer, can't no one else, no dietitian, no oncologist, no preventative health medical doctors, nobody else can speak about how to prevent death from cancer. But you negate them because they haven't experienced cancer. The logic actually doesn't make sense. And in fact, I think that men that are in the public eye where you haven't seen calamity within their life, and especially if you talk about how to be anti-calamity of selecting women, I think it actually shows more evidence that perhaps I'm doing something correct. The interesting component about this entire conversation is that DJ Akademiks is, I believe his formative years were in New York. He grew up probably 20 minutes away from where I grew up, although I'm a little bit older than him, so we wouldn't have bumped in or ran into each other, but let's keep it a buck. Young men that grew up in the 90s in New York, there's a certain, and I don't even know if it's like this anymore, there's a certain behavior type, actually I know that it is, there's a certain behavior type of the women in New York that often reflects the masculinity, or more accurately, the wounded masculinity of the dudes that are from New York. It wasn't until I left New York that I was just like, wait a minute, girls don't dap up guys as well? Like, no, that's just a New York thing, baby. The aggressiveness, the anti-soft, deeply feminine, the loud, strong, rude, and independent behavior is so common in New York that as a man, as a young man, oftentimes because that's all that you saw, you begin to normalize that. And along with your normalization, you became attracted to it because if they all act like that, then, it is what it is. It wasn't until I moved out of New York and started to be perceptive towards behaviors in different portions of the country that I was just like, oh, okay, so it was just area specific, right? Like there's commonalities amongst women anywhere, or generalities is more accurate. But the behavior types that were attractive in New York, you wouldn't see it as frequently in other places. And with that, I picked up that those behavior types, the roller coaster, the toxicity, the drama, the ups and downs also don't lead to long-term relationship viability or consistency. So I actually empathize with DJ Akademiks, who finds himself in that situation of a chick trying to get one over on him or trying to insult or shame or embarrass him in public after she feels like she didn't get her way. But because he normalized components of her ridiculous ass behavior in private and avoided the red flags, it left them exposed. It left them vulnerable. And she utilized that as ammo to get back at him later on. You should have never give a woman like that access to your home. You should never give a woman like that access to your passwords, your keys. Now, an academic situation is actually more disgusting because, to my knowledge, he never gave her access to a microphone like in the Akash situation. So while I get components of his arguments, content from channel like mine would have helped him understand that he was dealing with a demon serpent hyena woman. And because I haven't been outed by one of those, it actually adds more credence to the platform as opposed to take it away. Anyway, let's listen to a couple of more of his thoughts.
They're out there
Who knows?
speak with integrity like that and have those experiences and are prepared to talk about others. You're asking media figures to have that kind of
No, but it's the fans. I'm really talking to the fans. How could you listen to Abin preach when you don't know anything that they've been through?
Thank you.
How could you actually listen to this guy? And by the way, I like what this guy says, but he speaks
I think he's talking about me.
in a idealistic form, as if y'all ever deal with a species called women, there is nothing perfect. You're gonna go through some shit, even
right.
if you have everything mapped out. It's not always gonna go good.
Bro, look at Tom Brady.
Listen, it's not that I speak in an idealistic way. It's that I focus on risk mitigation. Risk mitigation. I know it ain't no perfect, baby. I'm not perfect. All right? And I always say that on the channel, but what I say though, this is a critical thinking channel, one of which I restore power to men and give clarity to women. And I utilize real life examples to be able to do so. And that Akash situation, there was just so much meat on that damn bone. I had to go off on that as much as what I could. But I appreciate him acknowledging the things that I'm saying as being correct or beneficial. I just think that we disagree into the value or the perception of the advice given because the L was suffered publicly. I mean, shit, even if you take a look at Fresh and Fit's platform, some of the biggest dramas that they've had from a PR, from a public relations perspective, had to do with women. Fresh dealing with the Asian escort whore. And similar to the Akash situation, Akash, through not selecting correctly, not only put his own career in jeopardy, but also his business relationships as well. The flagrant podcast through his wife now will suffer to a degree. As men with things to lose, you have to be able to intelligently select a woman that lowers vulnerability, lowers risk with as much fervor as you put into creating whatever it is in your life that you don't want to lose. That's why Fresh messing with the Asian escort was so crazy because, it put the entire Fresh and Fit platform in a position of vulnerability, open to attacks. I mean, the majority of their platform does battle against the ideologies of these modern hoes. So to get caught up by one, which enabled her to wreak havoc, your ops were able to utilize them. I've been pretty sure able to utilize them strategically to make more money off of the brand, but that's due to the actions. There's a big reason why you'll never have like an Andrew Tate talk about his relationships because he's such a big ass public figure. People have caught him and his girl or girls out in different places, but he doesn't ever talk about them. There's a reason why Kevin Samuels never talked about the women that were in his life, even though he got all these accusations of being gay. It's because they want to tighten up the ship as much as possible. I've even tried to collaborate with women with platforms and then After a couple of them, I decided not to anymore. And that is through the idea that it leaves me vulnerable and exposed. Why? Because they can go on their platform at any time and make up stories because I make them feel a certain type of a way. And this was recently proven by a young lady who I haven't talked to in 2 years, who's currently married to a multi-millionaire, bringing me up when I have not mentioned her at all in front of her husband on a platform. Like, it's absolutely insane to watch that happen. I was like, damn, baby girl, you still think about me? Leave me alone. Keep me and my name up out your marriage. But that's why I hesitate to just say no to having anybody get closer, by having randos get close to me, because they can leverage the value that you have created to get at you, to make you feel pain for what they feel that you did. Let's finish up.
Hey, bro,
You
nobody's
believe-
safe.
Yeah,
Nobody. I've been telling people that.
Real quick,
Nobody's safe.
In the Bible, King Solomon, right, known as the wisest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did? Everything under the sun. Women, money, sex, everything.
Okay.
He gave wisdom after that. How can you teach others when you've never been through it like that? You can't.
What?
So to your point, is it possible to tell somebody what to do if you're not doing the shit?
Do you
Okay. He must not be talking about me. What he's saying at the top level is correct. Yeah, if you're going to give advice, you would have had to have lived through a component of the things that you're giving advice about. But that has nothing to do with leaving yourself exposed by choosing to get close to an escort that now houses all this information about you to do damage with. You can ascertain that knowledge without public humiliation. Let's see if there's anything else.
Teach others when you've never been through it like that. You can't. So to your point, is it possible to tell somebody what to do if you're not doing the shit?
is that whole for Nick Fuentes?
Okay, look like they're going to talk about something else. Anyway, there was nothing stopping you from now teaching men, like, this is how you avoid whores, right? Because if you suffered it publicly, then you can absolutely talk about it. Because she was close enough where I believe she was actually on the platform, and there was portions where Myron was actually defending her way in the beginning until they figured out what she was about. And Myron went scorched earth on her, which he absolutely should have in order to protect the platform, protect the brand. He absolutely, by the way, sometimes for the whole Akash situation, I wish deep down Akash had a Myron on the team to help him get through it, not simply laugh and joke about the entire situation. Like, there's not things that Akash can change, but to really hit Akash with insights in order to help him improve his life. I've said it once and I will continue on saying it, is that if a young man like an Akash was to look at content on this channel, I would say a lot of the content in the men-centric space, right, and didn't refute it through whatever feminist programming that his mind is currently under the spell of, then he would have realized her behavior type and would have dispatched her appropriately before it got this damn bad. But through societal conditioning, perhaps there were cultural things involved in there, conditioning from a therapist, and then also conditioning from the woman herself. He found himself in an environment where he normalized bullshit behavior. I see so many of my G's selecting incorrectly, unable to discern the specific behavior types that are leading to bad results or bad outcomes. And in fact, I'll add on to this, a DJ Akademiks would benefit from listening to some of the content. It sounds like he actually, when I'm talking about Akash, he agrees with a lot of the things that I am saying. But again, I am not perfect. But it is about, as a man, risk mitigation. If you are your lowest value of manhood at 18 and you go 20, 25 years of your life creating value, grinding, eating shit at the beginning of your adult life, why would you not, with all that you put in the same level of degree of effort of selecting the woman that will be by your side? I mean, shit, even looking at some of the women on the panel, I'm like, damn, this one on the right over here, hold on, where's my cursor at? If I saw her walking towards me on the street, I'm crossing the street, baby. Get away from me. I don't even want your essence near me, baby. I'm having a good day today. I don't want your abyss to cloud my thinking. Anyway, shout out again to DJ Akademiks for bringing this up. I really appreciate his comments within this because it gets us to talk through a component or a reason for the platform and why I get the specific results that I do. And I always shout out the MT Army, but also shout out to the MTRers because they're down up in these comment section, smiting these hoes that I go over in the content as much as the guys are. But all right, I think that I'm done yapping. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I just appreciate you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, y'all already know what to do. Me, go to tourismreviews@gmail.com. Guys, leave me something down up in the comment box down below. Do you agree with the things that I'm saying? Have you seen these different things from the platform? Or do you agree with the DJ Akademiks? Let me know down up in the comment box. Maybe we'll do a live stream so we can have more formal conversations in regards to this particular topic. Until next time, peace.
So, without further ado, MTR, nothing to be, it's like we in charge. No capital rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound when it's MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.